On today's Movin The Chains, Jerel, a very special interview. A new head coach coming from out of state to the upstate here. Jonathan Gess coming over to Southside Christian, taking on the head coaching job there with the Sabres.
Yeah, man, power moves. Taking one of the better coaches out of the state of Georgia, one of the better coaches in the high school ranks across the country, and getting him up there in Greenville, man. It's really awesome to see that. Great story. A lot of championships, and hopefully he can infuse that into this Southside Christian program too.
A really fun interview. Hope you guys enjoy it. Once again, today on Movin The Chains, head coach of the Southside Christian Sabres.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.
Welcome into Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today, a very special guest, the new head coach of the Southside Christian Sabres, Jonathan Gess. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to be on this podcast.
Well, we appreciate your time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Our website, movinchains.com, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all podcast platforms. Coach Gess was hired in February. He was the head coach at Hebron Christian in Georgia for the past 3 seasons. Prior, he spent time at Eagles Landing Christian Academy in Georgia. He has an overall record of 187-49 and has led his teams to 7 state championships. Coach, let's start there. What's that transition been like coming from, the Peach State over here to South Carolina and kind of getting moved in and taking over there at Southside Christian?
Yeah, so I've always been in Christian education at Christian schools. So I was at Eagles Landing Christian, then Hebron Christian, then Southside Christian. So from that standpoint, it's kind of similar when it comes to the schools. There's a big difference in, Georgia high school football and South Carolina high school football. Just in the fact that in Georgia, you can do a lot more with your athletes. There's a lot less rules. And of course, I'm learning the hard way here in South Carolina what the rules are. I'm just kind of operating like I'm in Georgia, which is like, man, you develop the kids 24/7 year round. It's all go in the state of Georgia, and it's not that way here in South Carolina. Like the programs that I've been to, Eagles Landing Christian and then Hebron, it was always a building of the program, right? So Southside is, they were good in the past and they kind of fell off. And, so when you move in somewhere like that, the program's broke. And so there's a lot of fixing. There's a lot of things that you have to do at the school that's beyond football. So, those are all challenges and things that you encounter when you come somewhere new. And so it's not just the state of South Carolina, but just coming to a new program.
Coach, our listeners want to know the background of you coming in from the Peach State there. And obviously that background doesn't all include coaching. If you don't mind filling us in on how you got to this point and leading this program.
Yeah. So, I actually went to Clover High School. So I grew up in South Carolina. My wife went to Broome High School. And we met. I played football at the Citadel, and she was at College of Charleston. And so played there for 5 years. And then I went into the Air Force, and I got stationed at Robins Air Force Base. And that's how I got stuck in Georgia, never planned on living in Georgia. And so it was actually funny, me and my wife and I get married. We're in Charleston. It's great. Charleston's this beautiful place. And then we moved to Macon, Georgia. Don't ever move there if you don't have to. So So I moved my wife from Charleston to Macon, and that wasn't the smartest move in the world, but it was good. The Lord really got a hold of my life in the Air Force, and that's when He called me into coaching. So I grew up going to public school, and she's a public school, but God called us to Christian education. That's just kind of the path that was open for me. And so I started at a school called First Presbyterian Day School. And coached there and loved it. And Lord kind of called me to get out of the Air Force, go into coaching, got the job at Elka. And then, we started winning, and, man, when you start winning somewhere, you don't leave. So that's kind of my path.
Coach, always a big key for a new head coach, especially coming to a new state like this, is the staff. How is that shaping up? Do you have a lot of guys you're able to bring in? Did you retain a lot? And just is that still kind of fluid, or do you have it pretty much set now for 2025?
Yeah, for 2025, I have it set. But it's a small staff. I've learned over the years, I don't just hire anybody. It's harder to get rid of somebody than it is to just be patient and wait on the right people to come in. And kind of did that at Hebron. There was a guy I really liked there, and Daniel Mejia. So I kind of hired him to be my defensive coordinator. And we just kind of, we put guys around us, but we were the two guys that you would kind of depend upon. So, here it's kind of the same. I met a guy when I first got here, Amani Richburg, and call him Coach Cap. And one of my friends that had coached him called me, Derek White, who's at Raven Gap. He and I are friends. He coached Amani in high school. So Amani's from Christ Church. So he calls me when I got the job. He said, "Hey, you got to call Amani right now." Funny thing is, I call Amani, we start talking, and then I was talking to one of the Clemson coaches, and we were just talking about me taking this job or whatever. And then I said something about Amani. He said, "Oh, I love Amani." He's like, "I've watched him doing 7-on-7." So I was like, all right, I got to get this guy and build around him. And then, I was lucky enough to meet a guy named Tyler Cooper. And he's not from South Carolina. He's from Ohio, but his dad was, his dad's been a head coach for 35 years and is almost up to 300 wins in the state of Ohio. And so he's down here. His fiance brought him down here, of course. He's got to follow her. And but they love Greenville. And so, man, I met him, and he's dynamite too. They're both young, but man, I like that. They're high energy, and man, they want to learn. They want to be great. And so I'm just building the staff around those guys. And so right now we have a staff of about 6 to 7 guys. I'm teaching them, but man, they're learning fast and they're high energy. And so I'm excited, and, we'll just build the program over the years. And so, and just be patient with it. Don't just go hire. My philosophy is just don't go hire people. Just hire people that fit my system and me and my personality in the program that I want to build.
Coach, speaking of your system, that's a big transition that I'm sure is going to transpire there and has throughout the spring and summer. What are you going to bring on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side as well? I want to got to give our South Carolina coaches a chance to kind of catch up and game plan a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. So, no, I'm physical by nature, man. Like I played offensive line in high school, then I play offensive line in college. So that's just my nature. Like we want to run the ball and we want to be physical. But I'm not one of those guys that's going to beat my head against a wall and just run. No, I mean, we're going to have the ability to pass. And, so we're very my offenses are always able to take what the defense gives you. Like we're going to run the ball. We're going to be physical. But however, if you're going to load the box, we're going to be able to burn you with the pass as well. So we work really, really hard at being able to run the football and being able to throw. I love play action. Probably you could compare it to the modern day, some of the NFL offenses like San Francisco and guys that run the ball, play action, that whole school of thought, Sean McVay out there with LA Rams and stuff like that. But man, when I was young, coach, I just copied Urban Meyer and Gus Malzahn, so like
that was trendy back then. Yeah.
Hey,
everybody
man,
was.
Hey, do what wins.
That's right.
Copy what wins. But like it, and another guy was Chip Kelly, doing what he did at Oregon. And so, man, I copied them. And then what happens over time is it just kind of takes your own flavor. And year to year, it's different. I've had different quarterbacks every year. And sometimes I have a runner. Sometimes I have a thrower. So it's funny because the starting tailback this year at Furman is going to probably be Gavin Hall. Well, Gavin was my quarterback at Hebron. And when he was my quarterback, he rushed for 2,500 yards and he threw for, I don't even know what he threw for, maybe 2,000. So 2,500. But and then last year I had a quarterback and he threw for 2,500 and rushed for about 700. So you just model it to that. Defensively, we're going to do whatever our personnel says that we can. Man, I'm a 3-5 guy, but we played in the state championship this year and we are running a 3-4. We started off the year running a 4-2-5. The 3-5 is very multiple. It can easily morph into a 4-2-5. It can easily morph into a 3-4. And so what I'm learning right now, and my coaches we're learning right now, is what can our kids do? So I don't come in and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, right? What can we do with the personnel that we have? And so, man, we're working hard to figure that out right now. But one thing that we're going to be is we're going to be physical, and we're going to play great defense, and we're just going to be a tough bunch of kids. And so that gives you a chance. That gives you a chance to win. That's what we want.
Coach, we mentioned it earlier, 7 state championships. You've had a ton of success in Georgia. What made you want to, maybe make the jump to South Carolina, and what really stuck out to you about that Southside Christian job when you were looking at coming over here to South Carolina?
Yeah, it's really, to be honest, it would just be something that my wife and I, we really prayed about, and God was leading us here. Obviously Greenville, if you're in Atlanta, it's a rat race, man. Everywhere you go, I was in a spot where, and this didn't bother me because we won the state championship but man, right where I am, there's Mill Creek, and that's where, they were nationally ranked a few years ago. There's Buford, they're nationally ranked every year. There's Milton, there's Collins Hill, that's where Travis Hunter played. There's Grayson, they're all right there. And I told the guy that took my job at Hebron, I said, dude, every day that you wake up, you're waking up and you have to keep your players every day. They could go anywhere. And it's like there's no coach is worried about somebody trying to steal their players, because you wake up every day worried about trying to keep your players. People are trying to take your players. That's a fact. And but then, man, just the traffic in Atlanta and all that kind of stuff. And we had been to Greenville a few times. And then sometimes you just make life decisions. If I wanted to coach Power 4 athletes every single year, I'd have stayed right there in Gwinnett. But man, we're high school football coaches, and quality of life has got to be something that you factor into things as well. So having the chance to move to Greenville and come to a school like Southside Christian, and help build the program back up. I met some parents here, and man, they want to have great football. And so, I was at a program, we built it, we created great football, created a great program. Those kids got to have that and be a part of that I coached. And so, man, I want to do that at Southside Christian. I want to do that for the kids that are here at Southside Christian. Hey, let's learn how to win. Let's coach them up, those type of things. So, and honestly, like when you're my wife and me, we love Charleston. We're 3 hours away instead of 5 hours and 15 minutes. And who knows how much traffic you get in between Atlanta and there. And so, so it's kind of like, man, the Lord called us to do it. And it's also kind of a life decision. Hey, let's move to a really cool city and see what we can do.
Coach, I wanted to ask you this because high school coaches are a special breed. And you mentioned the success that you had in the Atlanta area, Atlanta Metros, even down in McDonough, building those great programs, winning state titles. I know you've had opportunities to jump probably to the college ranks or even pro, whatever you wanted to do. What's kept you, being a high school coach?
Yeah, I think you could jump and try to do, pretty much the path these days is like you have to jump and become an analyst. And so, with the analyst, it's kind of a lateral move. It might work out, it might not work out. But man, I've talked to a lot of college coaches, and most of them are not happy coaching college football. The money's great and they got tons of money and all that kind of stuff, but they constantly just live stressed out, and they don't get to watch their kids play college, unless you work for Dabo Sweeney or you work for a special guy, you don't get to watch your kids play high school football. I had a 12-year-old son, and and him being in Christian education and just being a dad to him and putting him in a good situation, that's important to me. I've always worked at schools where, hey, when my kid was in elementary, I could go have lunch with him. I could go see him wherever I wanted. He's following me around everywhere. And so, honestly, that's just a great opportunity. And we see all the success stories. Like we hear the great success stories. That's the ones that makes the news of high school coaches that jumped and made the jump and were successful. But there's a whole lot of high school coaches that jumped and didn't make it and are right back into high school football. And so the other thing is man, and sometimes it's just understanding where you're gifted. I really enjoy the ministry aspect of coaching these boys. Like I say it all the time, but hey, we're coaching, we're using the game of football to build men for Jesus Christ. And so, boys that are going to grow up to be husbands and fathers and things like that. And so when you're coaching those boys, like, you don't stop coaching them, right? You got kids in college right now, and they're going through things, and man, you're talking to them on the phone. How are y'all doing? Like, I got a kid at NC State, kid at Virginia, LSU, like Florida State. Like, you're talking to all these kids because, like, man, they're just normal guys going through it. So the ministry never stops. And so I just never really, really had the desire to go coach in college. And I love sitting on Saturday and watching every college football game that there is. So I don't know how I can handle not watching them.
Coach, obviously you talked about some of the kids you've got who have gone on to play at some, really great programs across the country here. But who are some special guys you have now at Southside Christian that we should be on the lookout for this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I think Southside Christian has some good players, right? And so, man, they've been working hard since I got there March 3rd. And so, the first one that kind of really jumps out at me is Ben Bobo. He's a 6 foot, 260-pound lineman. So he's that guy that, colleges aren't going to just jump on real quick because he's short, but the kid can play. He's a phenomenal football player. I know he can play college football. I know he can play at the FCS level. And so he just has to put it all together on film and things like that. And so another one that's really jumping out at me is Keldon Rona. He's a 6'1", 185, 190-pound receiver safety. I think he's a power forward. I mean, he could be a power four group of five type of player. Like his frame, like had he played for me in Hebron with his frame with all the colleges that came recruiting, he'd have group of four offers right now. Your Georgia Southerns, your App States, those types, Charlotte. Like, he would have those offers right now in Gwinnett. And so, I got another kid, Shy Moore. He actually tore his ACL last year, but he's 6'1", 275 pounds, defensive lineman. So what can he do? Our tailback, Ethan Rhodes. Man, he's very smooth. I got a kid in the NFL right now, Keaton Mitchell. Keaton is 5'7.5". He's 175 pounds. Ethan's 165. I'm not saying he's Keaton, but he's smooth like Keaton. He has vision like Keaton. And so, man, I'm like, every day is like a race. Cause I'm like, man, how can I get these kids up to speed? Right. I hadn't had 4 years with them. I had 4 years with Keaton. I hadn't had 4 years with Ethan. Like, man, every day they're learning, right, man. So it's like, I feel like I'm like, what are those rats just kind of running
on the wheel. Yeah.
And, that's what we're doing every day. Man, our quarterback, he's 6'4". He's 195 pounds. Jack Criswell. Man, I wish I could have had that kid when he was a freshman and developed him over the past 4 years. But, when I got here March 30, he was 175 pounds. Get him in the weight room, demand work from him, all the things. He did everything we asked him to do. He's 197 right now. So, and of course, I'm missing kids. But those are just some guys that kind of really jump out at me. I'm like, man, there's some college football players on this team. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see, not so much for me and what I can do, but man, I'm excited for these boys and just the year that they can have and who knows what might happen. But man, I'm excited for them.
Coach, you mentioned you got there in early March, so you were able to get some of the off-season stuff and then also go through spring ball as we go into, summer workouts and things like that. What's the biggest thing that you've been able to assess from your team so far in this early period?
Yeah, well, man, there's a hunger to win and be good, right? They want to be good, and they just had to be shown the path, right? Here's the process, right? Nick Saban said the process, right? But there is a process, and it's real simple, man. This is what you do day in and day out, and like the coach demands it from them, and then of course they take ownership of the process, and so that's the thing that's been remarkable. And I'll tell you this, it happened this past week, man. Like, we didn't install any passing game in spring. We just worked on, hey, we're going to be physical and we're going to hit, right? Because they hadn't done that. And I wanted to establish that as a baseline of who we are. I said that earlier, like, what are you going to get from my team? Hey, we're going to be physical. And so we didn't pass at all in spring. So we get here in the summer, and I took my Georgia rules, dead week, Memorial Day week. And so I didn't do anything with them. And I really like that. You go so hard, give them a week off. So then we started off So we had a week of work, and then, bam, we go to 7-on-7, go to Georgia on Tuesday. It was rough. We didn't even know any routes. But, hey, we're getting better and better and better. And then we went to Wofford. We got better and better at Georgia. Go to Wofford the next day, got better and better. Had some good wins. And then we went to Charlotte this past Saturday, and, man, we went 6-1 and lost in the championship. But, man, but what's exciting is their eagerness to learn and work and get better. And so, yeah, that's the thing that really excites me, and the thing that I see about them. And I thought, like, oh, man, I'm going to have no players after spring because I'm going to put them through it. We're going to be physical. I thought they all would quit, but they bought into it, man. It was really cool. It was really cool. So I'm super excited for these guys, and I really want them to have a special season.
You mentioned 7-on-7, Coach. You know, you get a mixed bag of opinions on that type of stuff. You know, are you a fan of it? Do you like it? And then also, have you dabbled much into the 11-on-11 that's just now legal here in the state as of a couple years ago?
Yeah, so it's funny because I say I'm physical, all this kind of stuff, and so let's qualify. We know 7-on-7 is not football, right? I get it. You know, like Coach is like, it's not real football. Yeah, it's not real football. What better team building thing could you possibly do with your team, right? You know what? We're teaching coverages all the time. We're going over 3rd and 15 scenarios, 3rd and 10 scenarios. You're talking about coverages that you're going to run in the game in certain scenarios, and you're getting good at them. And so for us, hey, man, the routes that we run, like back shoulder and verticals and all the kind of stuff that we do, we're doing it in 7-on-7. We're learning that timing. So I find it to be so valuable. I'll do it all summer long. There's a point at which we all get tired of it and we're ready for real football. And then so I have the opposite thought of 11-on-11. So, you know, in spring practice, you know, you got 10 days where you can put the kids in pads and be physical and get after it. I think we got to be careful how often we put kids in pads. You know, so I don't want injuries on my team. And so, you know, like we're going to go in spring. It's going to be very physical. And then we're not going to do 11-on-11. I mean, obviously in Georgia, I swear to goodness, all some coaches do is go hit every single week. And, you know, it's like, dude, y'all just played a football season in June and July. But like, if you're trying to win a championship, you don't want football to be old and them not to like it by the end of October, beginning of November. So, like, man, let the summer be the summer. Let's do 7-on-7. Yeah, it's basketball on grass. Fine. You know, at least it's not football because we're about to go through the grind August 1 through, you know, hopefully through December, right? But, like, man, if you burn them out in June and July, you're not going to finish. Man, those last weeks of a championship run, you know, the second and the third and the fourth round, it's easy to get burned out. It's easy to not like football anymore. Like, man, football starts to suck and not be fun, right? I mean, y'all played it. Like, goodness gracious. I'm going to tell y'all this story. I know we're going over. So this is why I don't do the stuff in the summer. When I first started coaching, had this big-time recruit, Isaac Rochelle. He's a kid that ended up going to Notre Dame, played in the NFL. And so I got Isaac. And so this is back. I don't know if they still do it, but they had the Nike lineman thing, top 100 players. They all go out to Oregon or whatever. And so I'm sitting there, end of May, I get a coach call me. He says, man, I've just talked to the most arrogant person I ever talked to in my life. I said, okay, man, you know, some random dude complaining, which is normal when you're a high school coach. And I said, man, who are you talking about? He said, Isaac Rochelle. I called him and offered him a chance to come out here to Oregon and be the elite defensive line work. And he told me no. I said, well, coach, just because he told you no doesn't make him arrogant. I said, he's the nicest guy on the face of the earth. And so I go to Isaac. I said, Isaac, why would you tell why? Now, this kid's the best player in the state, right? So I said, Isaac, why would you tell the Oregon, you know, the Nike thing that you don't want to come? He said, Coach, I put on pads all during spring. I don't want to wear pads in June. I was like, so I don't want to burn my best player out, man. I want that boy winning the state championship for us. That's my mindset. It all comes from Isaac Rochelle. I don't want to get kids hurt, but hey, we're going to get after it when we need to.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that story, Coach.
Yeah, man.
Because I know
That was really good.
August is enough. I mean, the middle of August, you know, going through,
man.
you don't want to, you question, do I like football? That's a question before you go to practice.
And they get out there. you'll get out there, man. It's like coaches. It's a meat market. There's no refs. I mean, it's like, dude. I mean, I'm just telling you. I've seen them. I saw them, and I was like, absolutely not. That's me though.
Well, Coach, you've mentioned your faith being a big part of it, and also, instilling physicality, over the last couple of months. What are some other, founding principles or tenets of your program that you like, especially when you take over somewhere new?
Yeah, I think, man, I like to say win the day, or work. I love how the game teaches us we got to work every single day if we're going to be successful. Like if you're going to reach your true potential, you got to wake up every single day. That's a work day, right? I mean, we have rest days. All right. So you got to work, you got to wake up and you got to go get after it, man. You have to go, and you can't just kind of go through the motions and just do it because somebody told you to do it. No, you have to do it with excellence. And what I love about it is, man, we're using the game of football because to teach these boys these principles. Like, man, if you will take that out into your life, right? And I'm not talking about guys that are in the NFL. I'm just talking about guys that are, just guys that have jobs. Like, man, you've got to get up every single day and you have to chase being your absolute best. And so that's kind of what our principle is like, we're going to wake up every single day and try to win the day, man. Can we get better? And so, and I just love how football does that. I was telling my team the other day, I was like, there's 10 to 12 guys. I'm 46. So there's 10 to 12 guys that I know for sure are millionaires of guys that I've coached. And only 2 of them played in the NFL. And so I take great pride in that, because like, I feel like what we're instilling in these boys is going to help them be successful. And so it's just that mindset. Hey, man, let's chase excellence every day. Let's be our best every single day. And that's just not from a football standpoint, but from a character standpoint, like how we act, how we treat people, how we present ourselves, and how we talk on the field. What are the things that we say? What's coming out of our mouth? Because all of those things are going to impact you in your future. Because people are always watching. All right. And there's always somebody that I tell people all the time, like, man, every day you live your resume. You don't know who's watching. You can write a great resume, but man, it's better to live your resume. And so that's kind of just my whole mindset with football and why I love it so much.
Coach, this program, you mentioned it earlier, it has had some really good success, in the past, but the last couple of years maybe hasn't been quite to that standard. When you came in, could you tell from, obviously the community and from the families there that they were really hungry for a winner? And how kind of have they embraced you and your family so far as you got into town here? Yeah.
So I'll tell you this, because I've been Hebron was not a winner before I got there, and now Southside. I tell you what, you really encounter is a deflated mindset. Like it's almost like a hopelessness. It is really, really hard for a coach to come into that. Like everybody is hopeless, and they'll tell you 5,000 things of why they can't win. This is the parents and so, man, you got to really change the mindset, and you got to create a scenario where they believe, hey, but it goes back to what we just talked about. Hey, if we work our tails off every single day, good things start to happen. One of the greatest quotes, I think it's the owner of McDonald's or the founder of McDonald's. He says, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Right. So good things start to happen when you go to work. So, and I think once we established that work, the kids started to believe. So it was a quick transition, man. After about a month of being there, man, everybody's kind of hopeless. Everybody's like, man, we can't do this. And, they had their success in single A, and now they're triple A. Same thing was at Hebron. Oh, I mean, you would think that these AAA teams were Clemson or Georgia, the way that, well, we can't win. I'm like, they're just normal kids. They might, like they just got more of them. And so, man, but you got to go to work and create that belief. And so to see the transition from March 3rd, hopelessness, get them going to work. Now they believe. And so, hey, now you got to go play on Friday nights and put it all together. But just believing is a part of the battle, because that drives how you wake up every single day.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
Couple easier ones for you, Coach. Let you go today. Maybe it's at your office for a home game on a Friday, or maybe on the bus to an away game. But what's on your pregame playlist as you get ready to take the field?
That's funny because it's worship music, man. I'm so pinned up. I get so, man, like, it's funny. I get nervous about anything. I don't know why. And I'm like, even before the game, I'm like, why am I so messed up? Like, I have this, I've played in a lot of games and I have the same dang feeling every single time. And so it's like, I listen to worship music. And man, it's just, to me, the whole act of everything is worship, man, focusing on the Lord and just trusting in him. And you might think it's crazy, but man, I truly believe that, that the Lord can give you the right play at the right time, the right call at the right time, make this thing. So it's really just focusing on him, right? Because as a high school football coach, at the end of the day, my job is to win high school football games and to coach these boys up. And so, man, I really trust the Lord in that process and to lead me and guide me. I love Psalm 32:8, where it says, teach me and instruct me in the way that I should go. Counsel me with your eye upon me. It's crazy too, because I make the team listen to a work. We get down on a knee and they hadn't done it at Southside. They'll probably think I'm weird, but we listen to 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman. I've been doing that ever since 2012. Hey, first time I ever did it was in 2012. We won a state championship. So I'm like, I'm not going to not do this anymore. And but it's really cool, man. We take a knee, and right before we go out and take the field, and we bow down and we worship the Lord. 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman, and that's kind of how my whole pregame. You'll see me. You could probably, if you come to a game, you'll see me walking the field, walking the lines. Man, I'm listening to worship music and I'm praying, and that's kind of my routine.
Coach, we ask every guest that joins our program, a food question. Kevin and I are foodies. You've been in Greenville since March.
Yeah.
What's a restaurant that's kind of stuck out to you since you've been there?
Well, so I'm horrible with knowing the names of restaurants. And
I can help you out.
Okay. All right. So, you might know it then. So we got an apartment at Bridgeway Station, right?
Yep.
So I'm having a big problem. I'm eating way too much because of all these restaurants downstairs. And the Italian place, you know the name of it? Viola or Vela?
I'm trying to think of the name. I know the one you're talking about. I cannot think of the name of it though.
Tavola. My wife just told me. Tavola.
There we go.
Got it.
I have not been there. I've not been there.
Go
check that one out.
And call me if you go there, because I'll meet you downstairs. It's three floors down. But everybody's talking about it. It's great. And so my wife likes the pomegranate place.
Yep.
On Main.
Yeah. But I got kind of aggravated. I'm like, there's no French fries. Like, what is this stuff? I don't even know the names of the stuff that they were serving, but my wife.
This is new. Greenville's getting too fancy. This is a new trend here. It hasn't always been like this.
I was like, where's the French fries, man?
Right.
Like,
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
What is this stuff?
Yeah.
But maybe we're the weird ones now. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, last one here for you, Coach. I know it's kind of early, but what are some goals you guys have set for 2025 for Southside Christian?
Yeah. So you know what, man? It's crazy. I don't ever set goals with the team. Like, hey, we want to win this many games or win a state championship. The goal is always win the day. Hey, let's wake up every single day and become better, right? It doesn't matter if you won the game or you lost the game. Hey, let's wake up every single day and get better, and let's improve, and let's become the very best versions of ourselves. And so, man, that's what you're chasing every single day. Like, can I get better every single day? Can I improve every single day? And when the season's over, can we say, yes, we were the very best version of ourselves? And so that's what we chase every single day.
Well, this has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Gess and the Sabres program on social media. They do a great job posting updates and highlights on their kids, so definitely check them out on there. Like I mentioned, follow us as well at Movin Chains. Our podcast brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach? We'll let him go today.
Coach Gess, you've been extremely gracious with your time today, and we are very appreciative of that. We know it's really busy, especially this time of the year. So thanks for joining us. Really had a great time, learning your story and what your plan is for this program going forward. As a Greenville County native, I am just so ecstatic to see, so much emphasis being placed on football, especially with Spartanburg and all the other schools around us. So glad to have you here and welcome.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Look forward to stopping by, practice or game, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck, all right?
Absolutely. All right, man. See you guys.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.